Welcome to this edition of News9 Live, and in this edition, a special on Manipur, we are going to talk about the Myanmar angle. We are going to take you to the problem which India is being subjected to Myanmar. We will also talk about, is there a bigger angle to it? There is a word which is being used again and again, and I may use it in front of you. Is there something called Greater Gelangam, a sort of a land which comprises of India and Myanmar, which is at work? What's happening on the Indian border? How come so many weapons are outside? When will they be back? Second part of our conversation would be, first is Myanmar and the revelation which has come from the intelligence. It suggests that the arms which were used to spread unrest in the valley in the hill state were smuggled via Myanmar. Manipur shares a 400-kilometer border with Myanmar to its south and east. Sources state that a significant consignment of weapons was received in Manipur via Myanmar in June. It further states that a large cache of weapons reportedly brought from the black market was procured by the active insurgent group. The black market is situated near Myanmar-China border. That is one part of it. Assam Rifle is on high alert. Surveillance is there. Meanwhile, Manipur government has decided to introduce a no work, no way. No work, no pay. Which means that you are asking people to work, but if you can't provide them security, how do you expect them to work? When you have ghettos being created and you have a physical demarcation which has happened, how do you expect people to work?
Usually, Karthike, these are the measures which rebounds rather than helps government.
Okay. And then Rahul Gandhi is going to be in Manipur tomorrow. The General Administration Department has asked all administrative secretaries to give details of employees who are not able to attend work due to prevailing situation in the state. There are around 1 lakh employees working with the Manipur government, many of whom have not been attending the work. The sad part is that many state government employees are among the 65,000 people who have been displaced. So it's not as if being the administrative officers are left. Administrative officers themselves are in the camps. On this issue, I'll be joined by Professor P. Hang Singh from Northern Eastern Hill University, Shillong. I'll also be joined by Dr. Prishak Singh, convener, United NGO Mission Manipur, Hasina Kharbi, founder chairperson Impulse, and Major General Ashwani Sivaj. Before that, let us listen into a couple of bites which have come. Then we start the discussion, and discussion is on 3 parts. Myanmar angle, no work, no pay. Is it going to work? And Rahul Gandhi in Manipur tomorrow. So first, let us listen to the bites that have come.
So in that operation, 4 persons were apprehended, and on interrogation, they revealed that they are involved in selling of arms and ammunition which were snatched from the police stations. The details of those apprehended persons are: number 1, MD Nur Shafi, son of MD Nizam of Haiku Makhong, Kiewa Makhong; MD Sanayai, son of late MD Achou of Komidok Sorok Mapal; MD Hassan, son of late MD Abdul Rahim of Kayang Awang Likai; MD Rashid Ali, son of late MD Achou of Komidok Sorok Mapal. So from them we have recovered 19mm carbine, 1.22 pistol, 1 ear pistol, 2.5 lakh rupees in case, 1 4-wheeler Tata S, 2 5.56 mm in SAS magazine, 1 303 LMG magazine, 21 numbers of 7.62 mm light ammunition, and mobile phones.
And now let us listen to certain political bites that have come, like K.C. Venugopal.
You answer about the unemployment. You answer about the poverty. You answer about the price rise. You answer about the atmosphere in this country on Manipur. You are not even talking about the Manipur. Burning last 60 days, Manipur is burning. Not even a single answer has been by Prime Minister. Not even a peace call. Therefore, distracting all these issues, you are telling about some other things. We are not going to fall in that.
आपने मणिपुर में मेजॉरिटी कम्युनिटी को ट्राइबल स्टेटस देने की बात की, पूरा मणिपुर जल रहा है अभी तक। बैठक की है, जाना चाहिए प्रधानमंत्री को मणिपुर को। मणिपुर को जाना चाहिए। 4000 हथियार जो है मणिपुर की पुलिस स्टेट आर्मरी से लूटे गए। एक आदमी को सस्पेंड नहीं करे प्रधानमंत्री। कश्मीर छोड़ो, अगर ये कोई अपोजिशन स्टेट में होता या कोई एक मुसलमान अगर एक पुलिस वाले को धक्का दे देता तो पूरे बीजेपी वाले रोड पे निकल के आ जाते। क्या हो रहा? 4000 हथियार लूटकर लेके चले गए। इतना होता। ये बता रहा है कि हम लोग न्यू इंडिया में रह रहे हैं। अभी ये न्यू इंडिया है।
Now, first I'll go to my colleague Brijesh Pandey. Brijesh, let us set the debate. It is in three parts. One is the Myanmar, second is no work, no pay, and third is Rahul Gandhi. Now, one thing is very, very clear that the guns and their audit is not taking place. Now, how do you account for that? 350 guns in Kashmir can destabilize the entire valley.
Well, I think, Karthike, we have been discussing about this, talking about this non-stop for the last 10-15 days, is that one of the key destabilizing factor is the fact that more than 70% arms which have been looted within courts and gifted within courts have not been able to recover. And to add fuel to the fire is this, the report which has come out is that the arms are being smuggled through Myanmar, something which, many security experts and army generals who come on our show have been routinely talking about as to how dangerous that situation can be. Now, if you collate the entire situation, on one side, the government has not been able to initiate or start a political process, a political dialogue given to the fact that there is a deep divide, deep mistrust between the two sides, and also the fact that in top of all, political parties are not hesitating to play politics, and most importantly, there are 70%, which is mean there are 8,000-9,000 guns and thousands rounds of ammunition which are out there in people's hand. So it is like virtually that that the situation is doused in kerosene and people have matchboxes. So one matchbox can set aflame the entire situation right now as we speak. And one of the biggest challenge, and surprisingly so, Karthike, is because we have been talking about it for a very long time now, is when will the government and the police administration and the army and the CRPF be able to recover all those lost weapons? And till that is done, the situation, irrespective of what we talk about, what people say and all, the situation will never return to normalcy.
General Siraj, I would like your opening comments, because today lot of material has become available that a lot of cross-border gun smuggling happened. Your first comment on it, General Siraj, of this confirmation of cross-border gun smuggling.
Absolutely. Karthikeya, there is no doubt. There is a golden triangle which is there, which consists of Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, and also including Vietnam. From there, the drugs and the weapons come. And the weapons also come from Yunnan province of China. Now, it has been seen over a period of time that the opium which has been grown in certain parts of Myanmar also in certain parts of Manipur. This has become a biggest trade. And in addition to these, weapons have also become a big trade. Illegal weapons are coming. So this is what is a basically cause of concern. And now, since the border is a porous between Myanmar and Manipur, this problem is multifold, because 16 kilometers you can go on the either side, and this has not happened now. It has happened over a period of time. Smuggling of drugs have been taken, that's the old problem, but weapons have come very recently, and due to which the influx of weapons is so much that about 4,000 weapons which were looted from police armory. In addition to that, another about 5,000 to 6,000 which have come from Myanmar had destabilized the Manipur. So as on today, the whole society is weaponized, and until these weapons are not being taken back, the chances of having a peace is foregone conclusion. You cannot have any peace till you don't get these weapons back. So therefore, it is a big challenge. How do you now go and ensure that these weapons are now retrieved back? Now, this will entail a three-pronged strategy. One is that you have to seal the border between Manipur and Myanmar, which is about 400 kilometers. Second thing is that you have to make sure that civil administration keeps on warn the people that they must deposit this weapon. Third thing is that you have to carry out a physical cordon and search operation. And to carry out that cordon and search operation, you need to ensure that you have enough troops available. In case if there is a requirement of having enough more troops, so it be. Everything should be done under unified command. Now, the commander unified command is the right person to understand what exactly need to be done. Now, this is what it is a very complex situation as on today, because until now these weapons which are there with the public, and as on today, there is a mistrust and distrust between the basically both the communities. These are now also in the hands of certain insurgent groups. So my take is, until unless you do not take the weapon back, the chances of returning of peace are very, very less. And therefore, the question comes is, carry out a proper combing operation. People have to cooperate and coordinate. Second thing which I want to convey in my opening remark is that, one thing has to be understood. If you block the roads, this is going to affect the complete Manipur. One is that Kohima to Manipur, Kohima to Imphal road is a lifeline of Manipur. That road has been also blocked, and due to which the essentials are not been coming to Manipur, or they are coming from different route, it is very, very costly. So my earnest request is that whichever group is doing, whether it is Kuki or Mati, must not do that. And second thing is, let the defense forces act. They are going to act impartially, I can assure you. Once the unified command is functioning, they will act against those who are taking law in their hand. They are with the people of Manipur. They want sincerely bring peace and order so that every citizen feel safe in Manipur. Karthikeyan.
So I've got the opening comments from you. Now I'll go to Professor Ansing. One thing is very clear, that the weapons are coming from Myanmar. It is not the responsibility of the community living on the border to do so. That's the job of the Assam Rifles, like the ITPP in charge of the Tibet-China border. So when we talk about the weapons outflow, do you think it is a legacy issue, sort of an unmanned border?
Can you repeat your question, please?
I'm saying that this weapon, is it a legacy issue? Because they cannot come in 30 days, 40 days. They must have been
weapon. When it comes to this present problem, one is the one which is being handed over by the state forces, and the other is a weapon which is smuggling in from the border area. Now, as far as this weapon smuggling is concerned, which is smuggled from Burma, Myanmar, almost every insurgent group is involved in this. Not only insurgent group, any kind of illegal items, it's not just weapon only, drugs or illegal items like even gold or chemicals, all of those things are being smuggled from Myanmar. And this is not just a recent phenomenon, and it's been going on. The government is unable to do anything, or is not willing to do anything, probably because the higher ups in the government are also involved in this. They are stakeholders in this. Because if they are not stakeholders and there is a proper political will and support, I'm sure the armed forces, the army, the Assam Rifles, they will be able to contain these things within no time. But when you have the decision makers involved, okay, because there are recent, reports accusing to those who are close up, involvement of those who are close to the political, leadership in Manipur itself. That is one thing. Another thing is that the arms which are being, handed over in broad daylight, I'm so surprised that why there was no opposition from the security, from the Manipur Rifle or from the IRBs. There was no report of any confrontation. It looks like this has been handed over. Now, if you have so much of weapon circulated among the circulated like that, it falls into the wrong hands, not the law enforcing agencies. Then civilian lives, I'm talking about civilian lives. I'm not just talking about cookies or Meiteis or whatever. I'm talking about the lives of all innocent peoples in Manipur. Their lives are at risk. Why the government is unable to stop these things? See, we see the failure of government in all sides.
The failure of the governments on all sides. Dr. Push, I'm also joined by Dr. Pushak. Am I audible to you? Dr. Pushak Singh? Okay. There's another aspect which I would like now to be introduced to the debate. The government has introduced no work, no pay for the government officials. Now, this is about 1 lakh people we are talking about. The people working in administration themselves are in camps. Is it a workable thing?
Yeah, in this critical situation, so government must, as per the government, their feelings and their desire, they might be declare and announce that no work, no pay. But in this critical situation, how that government employee must goes to their own administrative that our offices. Suppose some of the employee are from Delhi, and how can that employee go to the hill areas? And then the employee who are from the hill peoples, and how can that our hill friends are going to comes to the valley areas? So it is when the practically is a lot of fear psychosis are there, and a lot of relatives are there to comes to attend the office. But if the employees are confined to the valley employee can be joined to the valley office, and then the people who are staying in the valley hill employee, they can be stay to the hill office. But that kind of system also are not there. So in this climatic situation, how that the valley employee goes to the hill areas, and then the hills employee goes to the plain area in this critical and drastic situation of crisis and happening. So it's not possible so far my concern. But order is order. Government can be ordered, but practically how that the employee can very gut and very bravely how can they attend to the office. There is very critical and very questions to the civilians and the general peoples. But so far, it's very difficult to attend to the office until and unless the situation is not in the normal positions. So far, I understood in my personal experiences how the people and employee think about. So this area, so people has to know that all the offices are burned down. Some of the offices also closed down, and then some of the employee also, they are actually also run away from Manipur also. So that is why in this situation, the critical situation, and until unless there is no normalcy kind of position, how did the government employee that the regular can be attend to the office? But somewhere can be possible, but as a whole, it's not possible so far my concern, until unless the situation is in the better way.
Okay. Hasina, your opening comments. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. The thing is that I resonate what Pishak Singh has been providing the information which is from the ground, and the fact that when you give an order, but then you don't look at the ground situation, how and when do we also ensure that the people safety are going to be taken care? Because at the end of the day, safety of the people to go to work is still a critical issue. Not everybody would like to risk, so that is something you have to bring, that peace negotiating, which I've been again and again, where community will feel more safer to go to work, as what Pishak has just mentioned. Because I don't think that people who live in the valley only work in the valley, but people who are actually in the hills are also working in the valley. And everybody has gone home. They have tried to seek protection and safety. Most of them who are also working in the government are also people who have lost their homes, who have lost a lot of their own belongings and the economic. So these are issues that are critical at the moment. So if I use the word of safety, I think it's time that a reconciliation takes place to ensure local protection by communities together with the government. They have to have this dialogue. Then only people will come out of their home and go and work. It's not possible to give an order and expect everybody to get out of their home and go and work. It's not possible.
It's not possible. You're saying it's just not possible. Now, Brijesh, why would they have come out with an order like that? Before I go to the General Sahib, because most of these people are in the camps. Now, if you don't even pay them, how will they get back their life?
I think, it is one of these administrative ideas or diktat which we call the very harebrained idea. Either the government has an absolute logic that that it somehow will help contain the situation which is unfolding there. I mean, when you cannot guarantee safety, ensure 100% safety to your administrative workers, to your government workers and other citizens of Manipur, making this idea or coming up with this idea saying that that if you do not report to work, your pay will be deducted in this kind of security scenario, where the levers of the security is actually handled by the central government and not by the state government. I think it's not, definitely not a wise move. I mean, until unless the government has some very secret magical understanding of how this will spur the political process, or this will ensure that that the state starts marching on the peace road. I don't see any logical merit in this diktat of the government.
Logical debate. We'll soon be joined by Professor Oinam Bhagat from JNU. But General Srivaj, I would like you to look into this, speak on this issue. How do you get people to work? There are areas in which even army is not being able to move. This visual that was released by Spear Corps yesterday, it just simply tells you that even army cannot do the job.
Absolutely, I agree with you. See, as far as civil administration is concerned, giving such an order which is not able to be implemented on ground may be wasting the time. In the sense, possibly what they are thinking. I fully agree. The people who are in valley and they have to work in hill, they can't go, and vice versa also not possible. Also, majority of the people are in the camp, they can also not go. But possibly what government is thinking is that the complete administration has come to stand still. And these are the people who were the backbone of the administration. So there may be few of them who are in valley and they can go. Possibly they are trying to target them. And those who have not able to come otherwise due to that they are in camp or they are not able to come due to various reasons, I think the government will take a very lenient view. So this happens, very commonly happen in Jammu and Kashmir also. So every case is to be decided on case basis, but a blanket sanction is not given that you will not come. So the point is that some sort of semblance of administration start, because the people who are people of Manipur or in Imphal Valley, they are majority of them working in the government offices. So the government office has to also start working. So all those who can come, possibly government is targeting that, and those who have some the region and they have a valid reason, I think government will not be very serious on that. That government also knows it. So I suppose you have to take it in that way. But I only certainly say that point today is that you cannot have a situation peaceful until these weapons are taken back. And these weapons are a biggest hurdle today. And therefore, the strategy of doing combing operation by the unified command, trying to get these weapons is a first and foremost priority. At the same time, the peace committee should also start functioning. The biggest problem which has occurred is the distrust and mistrust which has happened between two major communities, that is Metis and Kuki. The leaders from both sides start talking to each other, and rather than talking crossroad, that the people start gaining the confidence, because it is too long now. Imphal or Manipur has been burning for long, so the time has come where the two communities must sit down together, the leaders must sit down together and work out some peaceful formula. Now, the point which was coming is, how is Myanmar involved in this? There are 3-4 very interesting aspects which we must understand of Myanmar. Now, remember that China in a big way is involved in Myanmar. And China has been always sending weapons to insurgent group in Northeast, not now, but for past about 40 years. In between, they have slowed down. But again, after May 2020, they have started off. Now, the question is that the China-Myanmar economic corridor is also going, and that progress is very slow. And they have also bought peace with certain militant groups which are operating in Myanmar, Western Myanmar, because they want this China-Myanmar economic corridor to succeed, because they want connectivity from Yunnan to Kuakapu. And that is where they are also working. The second thing is, India in a big way is going through Myanmar, because international highway which is going basically from Mizoram, then going to Myanmar, and then going to Thailand and Laos, that has also now come under a lot of scrutiny, and that work has also stopped. And third is the Kaladan multi-modal project, which start from Calcutta, come by sea to Myanmar, and from there by river and then road coming to Mizoram and Manipur. That also has come to standstill. So the point is that Act East policy which India has made it, and due to which they were thinking that we should not only act east, we should able to move toward east, and our international highway go people to people contact. I think that will now go for a lot of hurdle, because the mistrust which has not happened only between the communities, I think the mistrust has also happened between Manipur and Myanmar, because Myanmar, anything happening there, the smuggling which is taking place of drugs and of weapon and ammunition, it is a cause of concern. If you want peace in Manipur, you have to seal the border, and the Assam rifle has to be ruthless. The way BSF has successful in sealing a border between India and Bangladesh, I suppose that has to be done. That leverage of 16 kilometers going on the either side may have to be stopped for some time.
Okay. Okay. Professor Oinam Bhagat is here. Very warm welcome to you. The reason why we have forced Professor Bhagat to be part of our show is because he will be in Imphal for more than 15 days, not available for any conversation. He'll be going there, visiting the camps, and in between his schedule, he's given us time. Thank you so much. So, two questions to you. First is, what is this no work, no pay? You have no rule of law right now, and you know people don't even get their pay. One. And second is, I have realized, you know, after speaking to a lot of people today, if all the weapons are being audited in the Sioux camps, then where are these weapons come from? If we are saying that there are weapons in Sioux camps and they are audited, so what are these weapons? ये फिर कहाँ से आ गए? Two questions.
Yeah, thank you, Kartikeya, for roping me in. Yeah, this is very tricky situations. If you do not ask the officials to join office, then in some way or the other, they are not going to attend, even if they can. Now, if you force them to come, there are cases where people who are already displaced, they cannot come. So I think government has to find a way out, particularly for as an exceptional cases for those who are displaced, dislocated. That is understandable. But for those, supposing who are in the valley and they are well capable of attending the offices, they must. And so is the case in Churachandpur. Those inhabitants of Churachandpur who are capable of attending the offices, they must. Because, you know, not going to office, not attending the office is not the way to run a state. But of course, the exceptional cases of where the victims cannot attend the offices, that should be found out some way to handle. So it should not be a big issue. So far as the second question that you have raised about the arms, that is a major issue. The point is, in the Sioux camp, there are double locks, right? That is what we are being told, that both the Assam Rifles officials as well as the Sioux militants, they hold office keys, and that these are locked, double locked. So there is no chances of this arms being taken out by any of the parties. But then where are the arms coming from? Now, the second issue immediately that comes is the arms that are being looted or they are being taken out from the gun houses as well as from the police post. This is also, and both happened in Churachandpur as well as in the Imphal Valley. In Churachandpur also, they destroyed the gun house, took away all the guns. They went inside the police camp. I asked this superintendent of police additional that I said, how did you allow? They said, you know, we were outnumbered by the people who came. I mean, we could not shoot at them. It was not possible. So they took away. Same thing happened in the Imphal Valley. But still, the point is, Kartikeya, there are so many sophisticated guns which even the police cannot help. hold it. Police do not use them. Like, for instance, what you call that, 2 kilometer distance, what you call that, sniper
rifle.
weaponaries. So where are these arms coming? So certainly, let us rule out that arms from the Sioux camp had been used. Let us rule it out. The second is then they are being looted from the police station and the gun houses. Some of them have been returned, but many are yet to be returned. But these are not enough. The information that we are getting is, even one of the army officials have said, more than 8,000 sophisticated arms with German and American signatures in that are being used. So where are these coming from? So certainly these are smuggled in by the militants from both the parties. It is not only the Kukis alone, but from the Meiteis, insurgents are also fairly active, what I came to know, in the valley, aftermath of all this violence. So even the insurgents from the Meitei community side have also joined and protecting the civilians. And many of them had been caught by the army and had to be released because of the protests from the Maira Paivis. So you have already heard about this. So this is a very serious matter, that unaccounted number of arms of very sophisticated kind, even the police are not holding this. Where are these coming from? So there is need to really look into it. And more than looking into it, what the army and police, the combined force, have to do is disarm these people, collect by any means these arms.
Okay, and Professor, there is one more thing which then I open the debate to everyone. Like for example, there are a lot of words which come. We spoke about Arambai Tengol, we spoke about Meitei Lupun. There is one word which I am getting in my with friends whom I talk to, and is it correct or not? What is Zalingam?
You mean about Arambai Tengol and Meitei Lupun?
No. What is Zalingam? The larger.
Oh, right.
Like, the reason why I asked you a question, I know a month ago I asked you one of the toughest questions. What is Arambai Tengol? What is Meitei Lupun? Today I am asking you, in our conversations, in narrative, this Zalingam word has come. Tell me, what is this?
Yeah, the whole idea of Jalengam is a Kuki Chin terminology that is a homeland. The whole Kukis has been talking about, Pu Haukip has been talking about this in 80s and 90s, about Kuki homeland. And this Kuki homeland, Jo Lam or Jalengam, both from different vocabulary. And this is the Chin Kuki communities, they dream of a homeland. And that homeland is a huge. At the moment, you might say it is part of Manipur, but if you look at it as a contiguous area where this segregated, though different communities assemble themselves to call themselves as Kuki Jo people, Kuki Chin Jo people. So you have this community in Myanmar, in Bangladesh, and in India. In Myanmar, they are inhabited in the Sangang division and in Chin division, which is along the Nagaland, Manipur, and Mizoram. Then down south the Mizoram, you have Chittagong Hill Trek, in which again some of the Chin Kuki groups are inhabiting by different names, though. And maybe the language also slightly dialects vary, but they are of the same ethnic groups. And you have in India, Mizoram, then southern part of Manipur and portion of Kangpokpi, in which the Kuki Chin Jomi group peoples are inhabited, which comprises of Thado, Kukis, then Paites, Mar, and Waifei, and all this, right? So if you look largely in the map, then you will find that these areas in Myanmar, Bangladesh, and India are all joined, contiguous. So you have the boundary in between, but these people are spread out in this area, and they have a long dream. It may be successful, may not be successful. That is a history will tell. But their political dream of having a separate country is what Jalengam is all about. At the moment, they are asking government of India to give them a separate administration within the state of within the country of India. But it will not be surprising that another 10 years down the line, if they become strong enough, which they are with the arms and ammunitions that they have procured through narco-terrorism. So this dream can come up at any point in time, which I think the Indian think tank and intelligence must look into seriously.
Okay. Okay. Professor Heng Seng, I open the floor to you. Can you please unmute yourself?
First thing, I have problems with narco-terrorism. I think a respectable professor like my co-panelists should not use words like narco-terrorism without proper evidence and documentation. Calling a whole community narco-terrorists, I think it amounts to adding fire to the fuel. So I think as academicians, we should abstain from such things. Now, coming to the issue about this Jalengam, is a land which, like Rabindranath Tagore, if I may quote, say where the mind is without fear and the hell is high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken into fragments. But it's a dream world, because the cookies and the Jomis, they feel that they have been suppressed and they have been subjugated and they have been, without freedom, without pride, without the right to live peacefully for so many years. And it is the outcome of these problems that they are facing. And the other thing, I think, if I may come to this guns, another, not guns, what was the other one? No work, no pay, right?
Sir, my two questions was, one, when we talk about Arimbum Tengol or Maiti Lupun, I asked Professor Bhagat to explain the word which has come into the narrative, Zalingam. That was one. What does it mean and why is it now? Why has it become part of a narrative? Because as a journalist, the narrative is like layering of knowledge. It becomes the departure of conversation. And the second was, if all weapons are audited, if security forces are saying that Sioux camp weapons are audited, and our sources are saying that mostly when the check happens with Assam Rifle, local police and one local administration guy, they have found the weapons to be there in Kuki camps. So my question is, if the government itself says, most of the government, my sources say, if most of these weapons are audited, then where are these weapons, where have these come from? From police stations which have been broken into,
Absolutely.
from Myanmar, from Bangladesh? ये weapons फिर कहाँ से आए अगर सू कैंप के weapon 99.9% audited है?
Now, at this juncture, I think what is more important is not from where the weapon comes. What is more important at this juncture is that how these weapons should be controlled, or how these weapons should be collected back by the law enforcing agencies. That is where the government is lacking. They have been unable to control these weapons, because asking from where it is coming from, we already know from the discussion that there are so many sources from where it comes.
Can you elaborate on those sources, Professor? I mean, if you know.
We have said that from the border, there is one we have said. Another is from the police. And one more thing that I would like to add is that I think Professor Bhagat has also mentioned that the one which has been, taken from Manipur, the state police from Churachandpur, it was not handed over, just like it is done in Imphal. There was civilian lives are being lost. So many lives were lost. Then ultimately the police surrendered. But unlike in Imphal, what happened was there is no confrontation at all. Okay, let us be very clear about that. So why the government is not controlling if so much weapon is there? That is more important. Why people are allowed to roam freely? The government is unable to control this issue. The government is unable to contain this kind of free lawlessness. That's why I've said in the previous discussion also, the government has failed.
This is the norm.
This was a norm even before these things happened. Employees are not paid for 6 months, sometimes almost the whole year they are not getting salaries. So the sensitivity of the government towards each employee at this juncture, if that is lacking, I'm not surprised. Then the government has said two things. They said one thing is no work, no pay. The other is alternative arrangement. Now, the second part, that there should be alternative arrangement for those who are displaced, those who could not go to their workplace, those who are in danger of attending their offices. This part is now silent when they implement. They simply say there is no work, no pay. It's so easy to issue orders. So the action of the government is further risking the life of the government employees. I feel that here also there is so much irresponsibility on the part of the government. Irresponsibility, insensitivity. It looks like they don't care for the life of people. That attending office is more important than the life of the government employees. What I would suggest is that the government should have allowed these displaced people, whether they are from the plain or from the hills, to report to their respective DCs, district administration. And then district administration can be entrusted to make some kind of arrangement, whether they can work online, but then there is no internet again, whether they can be made to work or used for some other purpose. These kind of arrangement can be done. Please, if you go to the relief camps, people have no proper food. Every day the menu is dal and rice, dal chawal. How many days we can survive on that? And now they are saying that there's no work, no pay. How will they survive? So these type of issues are not looked into. I think the government should take a serious look into these things. It is a violation of basic human rights.
Okay. Hasina ji, I have not come back to you. I'm really sorry. It's not like a men's club. Please, don't think like that. The conversation took a different direction. That is why I just could not come to you. But do you think it's possible for people to come out of the camps and work and then again go back there? Because they have already been displaced. They are not in the colonies. मतलब वहाँ तो रह नहीं रहे जहाँ वो नौकरी करते थे. They are in different camps. How will that happen? You are forcing people to go back to areas where they are feeling unsafe.
I think having worked for 1.5 years with relief on the cross-border displacement, having seen the gravity of the situation through the eyes of our state partner, and I think Pishak Singh was online a while ago, he'll be joining back. There's a big question out here that we are talking about. When people are displaced, as a civil society organization has worked with displacement for a very long time, the most important thing is the basic needs that is required at the camp, wherever they have been placed. So that has to be looked first before you're asking people to move out of the camp and seek any kind of work or any kind of, like joining work for the government, whatever. That is an important aspect that when we are talking about safety, that is one part. Two, a lot of, I think at the moment, I think there was this issue about the arms that has been there. I was in Myanmar on February because we work in Myanmar as well, in all the locations of work, and I'm going back this next month.
Which part, Hasina ji? Because I have also been to Myanmar, not only from the More border.
No, so Impulse as an organization has worked in Myanmar for 12 years. We work with, unsafe migration issues, and we're instrument for the standard operating procedures.
Can I ask you point blank?
Myanmar.
Can I ask you one thing point blank?
Yes.
Don't you feel that unseen migration is changing Manipur's demography, and that is the real issue? It is creating pressure on land.
Well, the question out
majority
here is
community is feeling hemmed in. 6% of land, 90%, 80% of the population, point blank. Is this the issue? and consequent impact of this is stereotyping of the Kuki community कि ये सब बाहर से हैं. But the real problem is migration, unchecked migration, failure of the state government, failure of the agencies to check Myanmaris from coming to Manipur and changing what Manipur was in 1949 when it became part of the Indian Union. Hasina ji.
Well, let's go back to the global issue of displacement when there's unrest in countries that pushes people for safety, that pushes people to come and seek asylum. Although India does not have any kind of asylum, laws that is required, but at this point, we are also working in the 3 states of Manipur, Nagaland, and Mizoram, and having seen that local community from the humanitarian aspect, both, all the tribes has been responding in terms of food security. We have been initially looking not just about food relief at both sides of the country, but we've been also looking at the fact that there has been food plantation that was going on between communities. And having said that, you will be surprised that the people at the ground, all communities who are having access to food are helping each other. So we have to see issues of migration from a different lens.
But Hasina ji, I respect your work. I respect your work.
I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is
I respect your work. But if that changes, if it leads to an internal security problem in the country, don't you think that migration should be stopped?
Well, I think migration is a global issue. You cannot be stopping the push factor of any migration.
But Hasina ji, if it takes a majority community into a minority community, isn't that a problem?
The question is that the state has to take responsibility in looking on the check and balances of any movement of people and also seeing the security issue, not from the lens of violations.
Okay.
I mean, Mizoram and Nagaland is having the same situation.
But then there is also another thing, people don't say that. There is an ethnic affinity in Mizoram, so it has not become a political issue. That is not the case in Manipur, so it is an issue. Though I have been told by my sources that the Mizo society, there is a word called Mizo youth, they have recently raised a demand for an audit of those who have come from outside. Professor Bhagat, then I'll go to Professor Hang Singh. Professor Bhagat, isn't illegal migration the real issue right now, which is not only creating stereotype for the Kuki brothers?
See, what Hasina has said about migration as a universal phenomenon, that is well known. I mean, I have no difference of opinion on that. I mean, if you look at the entire global phenomenon, but we also have to see the context, the present context in which we are
Professor
located.
Bhagat, I'm just stopping you for a minute. Unchecked migration in Marseille in France and the subsequent violence which happens there because there is no cultural integration. We have examples from Greece, Marseille, Cologne, Bonn. No one is against migration, but one, migration without cultural assimilation, and secondly, migration changing the demography.
Exactly. Kartiki, you got it there. The point is precisely that you have in Manipur a greater conglomeration of Meitei community at the one side. Then you have Naga communities in which different tribes constitute to call Nagas and another, the second populous group. The third is the Kuki Chin Jomi group. And then you have other tribes which does not fall in either of these groups. Now, with the recent migration in the last 10 to 20 years that has been happening, though 2021 census has not taken place, but there is every likelihood that Kuki Chin Jomi population is going to be more than the Naga populations. And that is going to affect in the electoral politics. And this is what is worrisome for many communities to come, because in 24, most likely delimitation, if it happens, then there will be more what you call seat in the Kuki dominated areas. So this is something that government of Manipur has not taken it very seriously. Unlike Manipur, what Mizoram has been doing is they are not stopping the Chin people from migrating to Mizoram. But they had been put in a separate area, given a different identity card, so that they do not have the voting rights. But because that they are in the same ethnic group, so they are on humanitarian grounds, they are letting the Chin people to come to Mizoram, both from Bangladesh and from Myanmar. But they also identify them. And recently there was a case, Kartike, of one, it was all flashed out in the social media about a artist, a music artist, very popular, in Manipur, Kartike. There was a case of a particular gentleman, a Chin Kuki guy, who was a parliamentarian in Myanmar, and he also contested election in the local bodies in Manipur. And I'm surprised how did the government of Manipur Electoral Commission there allow such a thing to happen. That means government of Manipur, whoever is the officials there, maybe a Kuki, Nagas, Meiteis, whoever are responsible officers, they have not done their job. They have allowed foreigners to contest election. I mean, what more ridiculous thing can you think of a person who is parliamentarian in Myanmar side, and also at the same time, after 1 or 2 years, he comes and contests election in Manipur and wins the election? Have you heard about such a thing?
No, there was a case in which a Nepali citizen definitely came to Lok Sabha, and it became a hue and cry. That way India as a country is somehow gives into this sort of a encroachment that you have the matter goes to the court, a Nepali citizen wins election and he is part of the Lok Sabha.
Too many brazen
cases, and I've been in Parliament when it happened.
Absolutely.
I saw that. Professor Hang Sing, your comments, sir.
Okay. See, first thing is that, we should not be assuming and base the discussion on the basis of assumptions. If that is the case, then so many things can be said. First, let us not assume that certain things, if it is not on record, are true. Okay? So why I said that is that we assume there is a demographic shift in Manipur. Where is the record? On what basis are we cannot base these things on hearsay. Of course, there are migrations, and this migration is not limited to the Kuki Jaw community only. Let us not forget that. There are a sizable number of Meitei communities in Burma also. In Burma, they are known as Kathe. Okay, so they have been coming and going because they live on both sides of the border. So some kind of control mechanism can be at place. Now, because there is, blaming a community. For example, there is migration we know that there are migration which is properly recorded by the government of Mizoram. So because of that, we call all the Mijos are Burmese. We cannot do that. Let us try to be a little bit logical here. And if I have to assume what will come in the next census, anything can happen. In the next census, it can be the Meitei community which is growing more in the population, or it can be the Naga communities.
So, Professor Hang Sing, you are saying two things. One, Meiteis are also migrating with cookies, and secondly, you are saying that there is an audit issue in terms of demographic change. You are contesting that, sir?
Yes, I am contesting that.
Professor Bhagat, is it contestable?
I think I would just like to come in here. See, it is not merely speculation that I am talking. There has been cases in which the number of villages have increased, and that is what I am saying. If you look at Kangpokpi area, near the Kobru Hills, there has been enormous number of villages that have multiplied. So that is one. There are also a number of settlements that have increased in More area. This is a fact. It is not something concocted. True that I am also submitting and also accepting that 2021 census has not been counted. But there are every reason to argue, and that is what a social scientist would like to do, based on the informal ways in which we can gather informations, we can anticipate possibility that can come in years to come. And that is what a social science study is all about. We are not supposed to only see what the things are. We also predict. And prediction is part of social science studies. And what I'm saying is, if you look at the 20 seats that comes from the hills, out of which Kangpokpi area that is unreserved, but earlier it was 12 Naga MLAs and 8 Kuki MLAs. Then comes 9 and 13, and now it is 10-10. So 10 Kuki MLAs and 10 Naga MLAs. So if you look over a period of time, say last 15 years, how the representatives in the state assemblies has been elected, and also you can study this in terms of where the shifts are taking place, in terms of who are getting elected, then one can predict that there is a possibility that with the delimitation taking place, then the Kuki MLA's number may increase. And it is not a concocted, speculation. It is based on the last 20 years in which the electoral politics has shaped itself.
Okay.
Can I come in again?
Oh, absolutely. Please come in again.
First thing is that, the number of villages, increase in settlement. Here, I think my brothers from Manipur, knowingly or maybe unknowingly, they are ignoring the tradition of the Kukis. I think they are very well aware of this. The Kukis do not settle in big villages. And the tradition is that when the village reaches a certain size, the younger brother of the chief is allowed to start a new village. And this has been going on. So this is the reason why we have so many small villages. As a person from that community, I myself do not appreciate it because this has not been practiced by any other community. Therefore, we have been trying to put a stop to this because all kinds of, the way people look at it, there's all kinds of misunderstanding. What we would like to say, what we would normally, suggest to our people is that let us remain in our village, let the number of households increase. But the tradition from so many years, practice is that they move on. So that doesn't mean that they have come from outside the border. So a person from Manipur itself, a village, ultimately may create another village, and that is the tradition. So let us not forget that. Another thing is that the number of settlements in More has increased. That I agree, because More is a very important trade border town where there are lots of opportunities for cross-border trade. Therefore, the number of settlements have increased. And the number of settlement in terms of More town does not confine to the Kukis only. In the Meitei have increased, the Meitei Muslims have increased. So let us not confine to one community only. This is mainly because of the importance of More being a trade center. Then, as far as this number of MLAs
but
are concerned,
I just want to say one thing. Please, you can complete your argument. I have no counterpoint. If I am not wrong, Professor Hang Sing, there were in 1991 there were riots in More.
1991.
There were riots in More. If I am not wrong, sir.
There was some kind of law and order issue was there.
There was a law and order issue. Now that law and order issue led to complete emptying out of Nagas from that area. I'm just saying.
So you can go to More.
I'm just saying that what we witness today is something which which might have resonance in the past. It's like people moving to. It's like 1992. Sir, let me correct myself.
Okay.
1992. It was a Kuki Naga clash. It happened in More, and there are no Nagas in More anymore. What I'm trying to say is that this violence takes place, but the shift of the
from who told you that there is no Nagas in More anymore?
Right now there are no big settlements.
Why don't you go and see for yourself? There are so many
There
villages.
is no Nagas. There is no Naga village.
There is no Naga village, sir, and I have been to More. Let me be very honest. I have been to More,
because
but that's not. I'm not here to fight with you, Professor Hang Sing. Due respect, I am not here to fight with you. My information tells me, and I have used More as an example. 1992 riots, and then a community vanishes. I am saying that Manipur is witnessing this, where you have violence and communities ghettoize itself. That was the limited point I was trying to make with More 1992 violence as an example, sir.
Let me put it like this. Why should we single out More only? If we have to talk, we have to go back in 1992, 1993, 94, what happened during that time? There were a lot of internal displacement. For example, if you take Tamenglong, almost all the Kuki settlement from Tamenglong has been completely displaced. Why don't we take that into account also? That is a completely different issue. Are you getting my point?
Can I chip in, Kartike, quickly?
Okay.
Please.
I completely agree with Professor Hansing. This is the point, I had been saying. Very sadly, recently, what has happened in Churachandpur of eliminating out the Meiteis. This is not the first time, but during the Naga Kuki clash, lots of Kukis were wiped out from Tamenglong, from Senapati, even from Ukhrul. They were in the backs, they were in this receiving end. So this politics of exclusivity, what you called a particular land inhabited only by a particular community, it started from Naga Kuki class, very unfortunately. I'm not trying to side with one group or that group. I believe that Manipur has always been a composite culture. Professor Hansen will perhaps agree with me that there are many Meiteis clans who are migrants from Kukis. Haubam, for instance, right? Moiranthem, for instance, if you these surnames, they were all Kukis, became Meiteis. They have absorbed themselves into the Meiteis. That is why I keep saying that Kuki is in me, the Tangkhul is in me. But to Professor Hansing, with all my due respect and love, is that those Kukis who stopped the Meiteis from going and worshipping to Kobru and Thangjing, they cannot be the old Kukis. Those Kukis who have lived for hundreds of years, along with the Meiteis, cannot stop the Meitei going to those hills. It must be someone who is completely disconnected from the cultural mosaic of Manipur. And I say it very strongly that any old Kuki, no old Kuki would ever stop the worshipping of the Meiteis to their indigenous deities and Hindu gods and goddesses, which happened in the last few years. And that makes me think that are these new settlements who stop the Meiteis, are they outsiders? Are they completely detached from the cultural relationship that we have enjoyed for hundreds and hundreds of years? I want to hear from Professor Hansi.
Yes, thank you, Professor Bhagat. I understand, your concern. See, as far as the worship in Thangjing or Kobru is concerned, it has nothing to do with immigrants. Let us not assign the issue of immigrants to everything that happens in Manipur. This is mainly because the resentment from the local population comes when, without consulting or without taking them into confidence or without taking them along, afforestation has been done. People like Arambai Tengol or Meitei Lipun, they came and then they started planting trees, and they were seen wearing sidearms also. So when these things happen in your backyard, when somebody comes and plant trees without your knowledge, then there is a sense of insecurity. So that is the reason why the people who has been welcoming them and even accompanying them and helping them to climb Kobru, they started opposing it because they feel insecure. They feel that now a group of thousands of people come and plant trees in my backyard. If they keep coming tomorrow, they'll claim that my backyard belongs to them. That is a fair psychosis has been created. That is the reason why people reacted to that. Otherwise, they have been peaceful for so many years. Now, if I may come to the issue of this number of MLAs, we know very well that the number of MLAs in Manipur, the representation is not equal. It's so lopsided. 50 plus something population have 40 MLAs While the hills, which is 40 plus something population, the tribals mostly, Nagas or Kukis or whoever, they have 20 MLS. Now, if demarcation comes, definitely there is a necessity to increase the number of MLAs in the hill areas. So please do not be afraid if demarcation comes and there is a number of MLAs are increased, because the population is already almost 50-50 when it comes to the Metis population and the hill population. So these are facts. Let us talk about these things. So these
Can I come in, please?
Please.
Conversation,
Dr.
I want
Mansingh.
it to be an unmediated conversation, and then General Sivach. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm just one sentence, and that's it. I will not disturb you further. See, it's a very General Saab will know much more as well. Since see, the constituencies in Manipur are very small. 20,000, 25,000 constitutes one assembly. And this is largely the case when it started. And still now in many Naga constituencies, it is the same. But in the Kuki constituencies, it has increased to 40,000 or so. So how come this increase has come? There is need to study this. Is it by migration? Is this by hype up? Because we also know how the voters, electors' roles are prepared. And I came to know that many school teachers who go for electoral rolls formation were not allowed to meet the people, but they were asked to sit in the house of the chieftain, and the Kuki chieftain will say that this many are the populations. So there is need to verify the number of voters in those very, very hyped up populated constituencies. That's it. Thank you.
General Sivach.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I come in there, please? See,
Okay.
the increase in the number of population, let us not forget, with due respect, Professor Bhagat, you have already mentioned this internal displacement from various districts. Therefore, there are concentration of Kuki population in certain districts. So that is one reason. The second reason that you have raised concerning the bogus voters, these bogus voters, I myself have been against it. So we don't want, whether it is in the Kuki area or wherever it is, we don't want these, bogus voters. If there is any, whether it is, no matter where, this bogus voter has to be checked. And it is the government's responsibility to check this, if this bogus voter, if there is any. Okay, so that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rajesh.
Well, General Sivach, Brijesh Pandey, this side, I would like to ask you a question. In the meantime, while the government, is planning to initiate a peace dialogue, the government held a all-party meet in which, all political parties, opposition parties put forth their view on how to move forward. One of the key issue which has not been, the government and the forces have not been able to address is containing these sporadic violence and all, and there has been no recovery. How do you see, given the situation which the spearhead, the footage which they released yesterday, how does army tiptoe across these compulsions which are there on the ground and restore, or is managed to force people to, to deposit illegal arms and to ensure that law and order doesn't get spiral out of control, sir?
Absolutely. See, first and foremost, what we were trying to convey is that how come there are so many weapons? It is only about 4,000 which were looted. And as far as the Sioux is concerned, those weapons are by and large intact. So from where had the other weapon come? So obviously it has come across the border. It has come from Myanmar. They are Chinese made, they are American made. And this has not happened now. This is happening over a period of time. So this raises a doubt. Is it we are correct that we are having a porous border between India and basically Manipur and Myanmar, where people can go 16 kilometers this side, that side? It's just been made or misused, because the point is that it is not only suction effect which is taking place in addition to push effect. If I take your side toward Bangladesh, in Bangladesh, what was happening is that over a period of time, there were a lot of migration taking from Bangladesh to India. And that was the reason why the opportunity in India was far greater here as far as the economy is concerned. And therefore, that suction effect was taking rather than the push effect. So, but then once you find this Two things have happened over a period of time in Indo-Bangladesh border. One is the fencing has taken place. Second thing, the economy of Bangladesh has also come up very well. So nowadays, that people trying to migrate or trying to infiltrate in India are much, much less. Now, the question coming here, as far as in Myanmar is concerned, I think the opportunity to the people seemingly looks to be much more in Manipur vis-a-vis Myanmar. And that's why any illegal migration which is taking place of any community is due to an economic reason. And this is which is creating a problem on our side because it will change the demographic system of our Manipur state. One. Second thing is that there will be illegal migrants which will be there. As far as Mizoram is concerned, I was there in 70s, 77 to 79. I have seen it in the Lusai Hill, basically in the southern Mizoram, that it was basically the Chakmas are also come from Bangladesh, from Chittagong Hill. There are a lot of Chakmas which have been settled down. But otherwise, Mizoram is one thing, very clear about it, that the Mijos are by and large very peaceful after 84, when the peaceful accord was signed between Rajiv Gandhi and Lal Dinga. But in case Manipur keeps on boiling and there is a communal sort of or ethnic violence continue, my take is that I hope and pray that it did not spread toward Mizoram, because Mizoram is very close to Manipur and Mijos are also mainly Christian community, Mizo community, and so is the Kukis and Chin and Jo and Nagas. So this is a slightly a problem. So the sooner we resolve it, better for us, because these two states are interlinked. The point which comes is, how do we handle now? No, there is no other solution other than doing a combing operation, and the combing operation has to be done, and some force has to be used. People has to cooperate, coordinate. There has to be a peaceful committee. People have to make to understand. Now, an example what has happened very recently, that one army column was carrying out a cordon and search, and they carry out a cordon wherein those 12 insurgents were also there of a particular community. And they were also involved in 6 Dogra. That point is fine, understood. Because now all this fighting for them. But until unless we do not disarm them, until unless we do not bring law and order, things will not happen. And very rightly brought out by my co-panel, there are problems. The problems are not easy, they are complex. Everyone has got his own viewpoint and we have to appreciate everyone. The moment we do not hear them, then we are not understanding the ground reality. My take on is, first and foremost is, seal the border. Don't allow anyone to come from Myanmar. Second thing is, carry out a combing operation. Try to take back these weapons. Third thing is, ensure that the peaceful committees come into play. Make sure that the people start understanding the requirement is to bring peace between the community. Fourth, the unified command has to function very correctly and with a lot of impartiality and without siding anyone, which they will. Fourth thing is, in case if the violence is not being reduced and there is a problem which is coming, the government should not hesitate even to explore all other possibilities, including putting a president rule. Because you cannot have a Manipur going from bad to worse. It is a very important state. It's a border state. It is a state which China is now eyeing. And China-India relations are not at the best of it. And in case Myanmar is also disturbed, in case Manipur remains at the edge, the China will try to make use of it.
Okay. Hasina, your thoughts?
Yes. So I think here we are going into different multitude kind of discussions when we are actually talking about the situation of the migration and changing the geopolitical scenario of the region. Why don't we look at from two aspects of the learning lessons of the past of many states of the Northeast, which are bordering many international borders. Yes, the trade relation between India and Myanmar has been one of the prime part of the Act East policy that has been taken forward before all these situation that has arisen between Myanmar and also with the present situation of Manipur. It is one of the economic zones that has been one of the most important part for India, and it has also taken Manipur to a different level in terms of the economic trades, in terms of how growth processes and businesses across the borders in Moray. But I know the complexities of the situation that has happened in Manipur has taken backward rather than forward. But looking from the faction of the humanitarian approach, I think we need to look at from a global lens, that the humanitarian need is needed for all the communities, internally displaced, externally displaced, cross-border displaced at every level. The other aspect that we need to really look is that the documentation processes that the government will need to put in place if we need to actually draw the discussion that we've been having by different panelists of how it's going to affect the whole population size, the voters situation that it's going to come, which is a very common phenomena in the different parts of the northeast of India. So the documentation part at the border, the strict regulation rules and processes that has to be put in place is a state responsibility. At this point of time, the central will have to look very deep into the situation to increase any kind of more migration push factors. So I think we need
but हसीना जी, मैं एक चीज तो जरूर कहना चाहूंगा इसमें कि एक सबसे बड़ा फैक्ट है that migration becomes a problem for the native community. We live in nation states. I know it's a Westphalian concept, but it's the biggest administrative unity with which the modern civilization lives, and it is a fact of it. There are some principles for any nation state. We might have some civilizational things. Brijesh, we might have some larger issues, but the bottom line here is, if demography changes, it impacts the politics.
It does.
It impacts the politics. And if geography changes, it impacts international dimension. Kashmir is one example of it. Exodus of Hindus took place. It's a different politics now. I understand population is a modern concept. So if a tribe is a colonial word, even the population is a colonial way of creating classification of people. But I can only say, within the context of nation state, if there is a migration of people from outside and if it affects the relationship of power within the country, then I think it needs to stop, because that somehow principally rearranges the power equation. And as of now, in last 150 years of post-colonial experience, when these equations change, very few countries have been able to deal with it, because citizenship continues to be mired in the ethnic issue, and it has not been able to develop around the larger lofty ideals of the constitution.
Well, Karthikeya, it's a very layered scenario. We cannot assess it just as a yes or no kind of a situation. Yes, it does. But the thing is that the forces are manning the border. There should be completely insulation as far as immigration is concerned. But with the kind of ethnicity living right across the border, it becomes next to impossible for you to push them away, because there is a humanitarian angle. But herein comes an effective state. Like if people have migrated from Myanmar into India, into Manipur, you cannot throw them back there. But the fact of the matter is that yes, I completely agree with the idea that you give them an identity card. You put a check-in mechanism where it doesn't spiral or completely change the contours of.
There are international examples. You create, like Turkey, you create Syrian camps, give them cards, don't allow them to become voters.
Absolutely, you can't allow them to become
voters. But most important thing is to ensure that the weapons from Myanmar stop coming to India. I think that is the most important thing. The weapons cannot be allowed to become part of Manipur theatre.
Natu. Natu, Natu, RRR.
Within seconds, SS Rajamouli became the toast of the cinematic world. Celebs began raving about the song. RRR and its director broke the internet.
Rajamouli is a national treasure. He undoubtedly has taken the Indian cinema into another universe.
I think Rajamouli has this reputation as being a relentless perfectionist.
I've seen people who are living in cinema, like who breathe cinema, eat cinema, they say, and sleep cinema, but he's really possessed by cinema.
The song gave Rihanna and Lady Gaga a run for their money. Movie maverick Rajamouli is now eyeing the ultimate glory.
I think Rajamouli has this reputation as being a relentless perfectionist, and the proof is in the pudding. You can see his films are very meticulously put together, and there's really nothing out of place. It is a created fantasy world that he makes, and it really makes everything come alive in terms of emotions.
My association with him is almost now 8 to 10 years, I think. I can see how he has evolved completely as a thorough professional now, and the reach which he's got now is really not accident, because he has really worked hard for it, and he's working harder and harder day by day. Normally I've seen people who achieve something tend to relax. That is normal human behavior, but he pushes himself higher and higher.
Rajamouli is a national treasure. The world has woken up to the power of the storyteller, the filmmaker that is still waking up. मेरा ये मानना है कि I think Rajamouli has still not scratched the surface of his potential. And I got this feeling when I saw him converse on a video with James Cameron. Though he was talking to one of the biggest filmmakers in the world who has made Avatar.
His last 4 films have elevated him from a Telugu director to a pan-world filmmaker. Here are the films with its box office collection worldwide. Magadhira, 150 crore. Bahubali 1, 650 crores. Bahubali 2, 1800 crores. RRR,